Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to one of my local breweries here in Clackmannanshire once again, and these guys are a very good and very prolific Scottish brewery. In fact, it's a very good place to start if you want to get into Scottish beer. So we're going to go to Alloa, just a few miles up the road from me, and today we're having a taste of the Golden Ratio, which is a blonde beer or golden ale, however you want to describe it, it is along those lines. But I just learned today that this beer, along with the Perfect Storm that I reviewed for you a couple of videos back, these two beers were actually brewed exclusively for Aldi stores in Scotland. And Aldi are very good because you get a good range of different Scottish craft beers in there. So if you do visit Scotland from overseas, go and check out Aldi. You can get a good selection of Williams Brothers. These guys are a very prolific brewery and they've got a whole host of things for you to choose from. So a very good place to start with Scottish beer, and Aldi of course stock quite a few of these as well as other things as well. So go and check out your Aldi stores and Williams Brothers when you come to Scotland. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual websites are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other Williams Brothers reviews. There's maybe about 15 or 20 of those now, so do check them out. And if you do want to see more beer reviews, just subscribe to the channel. Your support would be much appreciated, and there's many more Williams Brothers reviews to come, as well as many other things, mainly Danish and Swedish over the next little while. And do suggest some beers for me to try as well. I will try my best to get a hold of the ones you guys suggest, and you have suggested some pretty awesome ones so far, so I will try my best. But anyway, to tell you about Williams Brothers. So this company started out as the family-owned Glen Brew home brewing shop over in Glasgow, and their first ale is actually very famous today, and this was actually the Freya Heather Ale, one of the oldest types of beer in the world, incidentally, over 4,000 years old. But this one was supplied by a Gaelic woman who actually came into their brew shop with an English translation of the recipe of this from the 17th century, and of course the ale is named after the Celtic mythological hero of the same name. But Bruce Williams essentially made a deal with this lady where he would help her brew a batch of the beer for free if he could use the recipe commercially, and of course this kind of went out of control, and the brewery have become very, very famous on the back of this recipe. So there is an agreement there, I believe, that this woman and her family get as much of the Freya Heather Ale as they want, since they supplied the recipe of course. But this was the beer that really propelled Williams Brothers to the kind of big time. But the first batch of this beer was only 5 barrels, and it was produced over in Tainoak railway station in Argyll and Bute on the west coast of Scotland. Very beautiful part of the country, incidentally, so do go and visit there if you come to visit. But after this beer had gained popularity, Scott Williams joined his brother Bruce, and this was the point where they started to develop other historic recipes. This included the Groatsit, which is a gooseberry wheat ale, the Kelpie, which is a seaweed ale, Abelum, which is an elderberry black beer, and also the Alba, which is a Scots pine ale. And of course Williams Brothers are very famous for producing these historic recipes, but the 4 of these ones were developed at the Craigmill Brewery in Straven, just to the south of Glasgow, between 1998 and 2004. And of course the Craigmill Brewery is now home to Strathaven Ales. But in 2004 this was when the company relocated to their current base at the 4th brewery in Kellybank in Alloa, down by the Glassworks, and this was when they adopted the name Williams Brothers Brewing Company. But since they've moved there, they've developed maybe about 40, maybe even 50 different recipes of beers, and today they're actually one of Scotland's most prolific craft breweries, and they produce some pretty awesome stuff, I have to say. And it's quite ironic because these guys are the last brewery in the old brewing capital of Scotland. Clackmannanshire of course has a very rich kind of alcohol heritage, if you like. There were many breweries in Alloa, but in Clackmannanshire we're also famous for having matured lots of whiskey. There's all of these whiskey bonds all over the place, and we actually get a black moss on the house that's to do with the ethanol evaporating, so we have to clean the houses every couple of years to deal with that moss that grows on them. But of course very, very famous part of Scotland, and really quite scenic as well. So if you get the chance, do come and visit Clackmannanshire, and especially Stirling, which is just outside Clackmannanshire as well. Very, very beautiful part of the country and very historic, and make sure you try some Williams Brothers beer as well. But anyway, that's your little bit about Williams Brothers. As I say, if you want to learn more about those guys, go and check out the website in the description below, and you can read more. There's a whole host of things from these guys, and just basically pick a beer you'll enjoy, and I'm sure you will. They've got a whole host of things for you to choose from. But anyway, let's actually get stuck into this beer then. This one should be pretty good. I've always felt that Williams Brothers have a really good knack for producing these light, very sessionable beers that are full of flavour, so I'm sure this one will be no exception to that. So this one is a 4.0% golden ale, or blonde ale I guess you could call it as well. But it's quite nicely presented. This one, as I told you, was brewed exclusively for Aldi stores, along with the Perfect Storm, incidentally, which was a very nice beer too. So this one, I'm sure, will be around for a little bit to come. You can see there's the usual Williams Brothers bottle cap on this one, but quite nicely presented, so it should be nice. I really like that kind of futuristic or kind of retro computer graphic design that they've put on this one. This one, it should be really good. It says perfectly proportioned golden ale. So without further ado then, let's get this guy open and we'll get on with the tasting. Unusually for Williams Brothers though, I actually couldn't find a hop and malt profile for this one, so unfortunately I can't include that in this video as I normally like to do. But you can see, nice smoky opening on this one. Actually smells quite malty as we're pouring it here, but it should be quite nice, and I think this beer is very new and very exclusive, like I say, so quite glad that I can try it. I'll pour the rest into the glass in a minute just so we can sugar it and have a proper look at the aroma. But as you can see, this beer is poured a really nice, kind of bright, kind of golden straw amber colour, I would say. There's a solid 2-finger of a frothy white head on that, a lot of big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, but quite a few smaller ones just going up towards the bottom of the head, and some of the bigger ones heading up there as well. So it looks very nice. As you can see, it is transparent. If I put my hand behind the glass there, you can see it very, very transparent. So let's give it a smell and see how we get on. So without sugaring it up, there's a nice kind of quite floral and aromatic aroma coming out of this one, and it's got quite a bit of grassy hop actually too. And you can smell some of the malt base. There's definitely a kind of biscuity malt base. Williams Brothers have a bit of a trademark, if you like, when it comes to these lighter sort of sessionable ales that they do. You always get this nice, sweet kind of biscuity and slightly cereally base, and it's very, very nice, and you can smell that in this one. So you've got all the Williams Brothers trademarks, and that's just without sugaring it up. So let's sugar it up a little bit more and see what we can get out of it. Yeah, there's a nice citrusy character coming out of this beer. Some nice, slightly orangey citrus, but I want to say there's a bit of grapefruit in there as well. There's a good mix between these two nice juicy fruits. They're not too prominent. It's nowhere near as prominent as you would get from the likes of a West Coast IPA or something like that. This is a very light kind of dashing of hop. There's a bit of floral aromaticity in it, but some grapefruit and some citrus mixing together. You can smell that it's quite juicy actually. But there's a nice grassy note coming out. There's actually like a wet grassy note you're getting from this. Some nice floral character in there too, but the malt base is quite interesting in this one. It's quite bready. Then you've got some of the more cereally characteristics coming out on top. Some of that biscuity sweetness, almost like digestive biscuits actually. That sort of caramel syrupy biscuit. And there's some richer, slightly darker caramel in there too. But this is a very mild aroma on this one in comparison to some of the other Williams Brothers beers you get. A lot of people always ask me what my favourite Williams Brothers beer is, and if I had to really pick, it would probably be the Paradigm Shift. It was this really nice red IPA beer that they did, and it was an absolutely beautiful one, but there's a lot of them. I mean, Caesar Augustus as well, that's one of their light beers. Pavlov's Dog is very good as well. These guys really excel when it comes to these nice, light and quite flavourable sessionable beers. So very, very interesting brewery, I have to admit, and it's quite cool to notice breweries trademarks like this. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this beer then. So this one is the Golden Ratio, which is a golden ale, blonde ale from Williams Brothers Brewing Company in Alloa, one of my local breweries here in Clackmannanshire in Scotland. Slàinte. Oh, now that is really nice. They've done, you know, Williams Brothers, as I say, they always hit the nail on the head with these light, sessionable beers, and they've done it once again. It's a bit less fruity than it comes across in the aroma actually. That's what's really interesting about this one. You do have a little bit of fruity and juicy character coming out of this. Yeah, that's interesting. This one for me focuses more on the sort of grassy and floral end of the hops. That fruit that you pick up in the aroma, for me, it's quite a bit more prominent. The beer smells really juicy and fruity, but when you actually taste this one, those fruits are there just in very small amounts. It more focuses on the smooth, grassy and floral aromatic characters of the hops there, and the malt base comes out a lot more as well. It's very, very nicely done. So as I always say with these kind of beers, sugar them around your palate a little bit before you try to dissect the flavour too much. So yeah, let's think about this. The middle of your palate is blanketed with this kind of pale bready malt character that just goes right across the middle of your tongue, and as you take a few more sips of this beer, you start to get that nice cereally character. That's just a little bit of cereal dryness in there that builds on top of that breadiness, and there's some caramel sweetness that just goes right down the middle of the palate. There's a bit of biscuit character to this one as well. That's a trademark of Williams Brothers, like I said. This nice biscuity, it's almost like a kind of English real ale sort of malt base to this one, but they've got a bit more hoppy character to it, and that's one thing that Williams Brothers do very well. I'm not a huge fan of sort of English style real ales, but Williams Brothers are a brewery that kind of build a bridge between these and some of the more hoppy American beers, and they do it pretty damn well in my opinion. So yeah, that really nice malt base in the middle of the tongue. Bready blanket, some cereally character on top of that, a bit of sweeter biscuity malt, and some caramel right down the middle of the palate. As you move out towards the back corners of the tongue, there's a little bit of earthiness in the back, in the very, very back corners of the palate. You get a bit of dryness out of that, and as you come further forward, it starts to become more floral and aromatic. I think there's maybe some German noble hops in here. That earthy character that's in the back of the tongue is suspiciously smooth, so I would reckon maybe there's some Hallertau hops in here. Maybe a little bit of Tettnanger or something like that. Definitely German hops in this beer, I would say, but you know, I'm maybe saying that and I'm talking rubbish. But yeah, it does have some of that nice German floral hop character too. They like Slovenian hops in Williams Brothers as well, so it could be Dana or something like that that's in this beer. But it's the most important thing is it tastes very nice. As you go around the front curve of the tongue there, you get a more smooth, grassy hop out of this one. It's a bit of a dark, almost wet, grassy character that you get out of this. And if you just go behind that front curve of the tongue, that's where some of these more subtle, fruity characters are coming out in this beer. Yeah, that's really nice actually. There's a bit of orangey citrus in there, but you've got a nice grapefruity character coming out of this one. It actually reminds me, this beer reminds me a little bit of the Schiehallion from Harveston, which is the other really quite well known craft brewery in Clackmannanshire. It has that same sort of nice, subtle but juicy grapefruit character, and there's a bit of the orangey citrus mixing in there, so that it is a bit different, but the grapefruit flavour in this one reminds me a little bit of the Harveston Schiehallion. That's a very, very nice beer as well, and this one is quite reminiscent of that, but it's quite a bit more floral and aromatic, and that citrusy flavour in there blends with it really nicely. This is a very nice, easygoing, sessionable beer, so if that's the kind of thing you want, this is a summer beer. It really is a nice, sessionable summer beer, so if you like that sort of thing, you like your blonde ales, your golden ales, a little bit of floral character, a little bit of fruit, this is exactly what you want. But as you move into the aftertaste, the fruity, the juicy character actually builds, and it becomes quite wet. There's a smooth, as I say, that smooth grassiness around there, and a little bit of dryness from the earthy and aromatic character starts to come out. It gets a little bit drier as you move into the aftertaste, and the malt base just sits there. It's quite sweet, but you get a little bit of dryness from the cereal character in there too. But overall, in terms of the flavour, can't fault this beer at all. It is very, very nice. It's another one of these kind of trademark light, sessionable but very flavourful beers from Williams Brothers. So in terms of the mouthfeel, this one I would say quite light bodied, maybe pushing the mid-bodied character slightly. Very smooth carbonation, typical, almost like a German beer actually in mouthfeel. But at the same time, there is a little bit of crispness to it, and it really helps with those floral aromatic characters that you get in this one. You do get just a little bit of a nice crisp sweetness out of this one, but it's got a bit of dry and bitter hop character as well, but there's a nice sweet malt base in there that becomes more progressively dry as you move into the aftertaste. But again, like I said, this is another very, very solid beer from Williams Brothers. I'm not sure, for me, as I said, one of my personal favourites is Pavlov's Dog. For me, Pavlov's Dog, just the red character of it. I have a real thing for red beers. That's probably my favourite one, but I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this one again if it was on offer. This is another very, very nice beer, and as I said, Williams Brothers have a real knack for these light, easygoing, sessionable beers. So pick up this guy if you enjoy a nice, light, golden blonde ale that has a bit of fruity character, a bit of sort of German noble hop character, and some nice sweet malt base. This will hit the nail on the head for you. Another very, very good beer from Williams Brothers, and as I said, it is exclusive to Aldi stores in Scotland, along with the Perfect Storm that I reviewed for you a few days ago. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. As always, please let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below if you do happen to have tried it before. Always interesting to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. I thank you for watching once again, and until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out Williams Brothers, and if you can, check out the Golden Ratio. If not, the similar beers are the likes of Pavlov's Dog and Caesar Augustus. They're along the same lines, and that really is the trademark style for Williams Brothers. But the most important thing is that you do come and visit Scotland and you try some Williams Brothers beer. But I thank you for watching my videos. Please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out the social media things, and I'll catch you soon with another beer review, and there will be more Williams Brothers ones coming in the near future. So go and check them out in the meantime. Slàinte just now.